In 2013, a temple opens in America, and in this temple, people worship the devil. Today, more than 700,000 members of this temple are present. And this is not a fiction, this is a reality. And you have a deep connection with this reality. I often have to tell such things in content. I have to tell such things that I don't feel like doing. But I have to tell, because if I don't explain these things to you, if I don't tell the coming generations, then no one will explain these things to you. When you hear the word Satanism, then what comes to your mind first? Do you think you have seen this word in a Hollywood movie? Have you heard it in a web series? Have you seen it in a music video? Or have you seen it on the dark web? And you think that there are some people who believe in this word and Satanism who are crazy. There are some people who do weird things in this world. This is not the case. In 2024, there is an interview in London. A journalist is sitting in front of Zeke Apollyon. Zeke Apollyon is the head of the UK chapter of the Satanic Temple in the UK. And do you know what he says in this interview? He says that if people can do evil in the name of Jesus, then why can't I do good in the name of Satan? I know there is no logic in this, but did you notice one thing? This man seems so normal, he doesn't seem dangerous at all. And this is the biggest problem. The Satanic Temple is a flourishing organization today, and its chapters are present in more than 50 cities in America. They have their own website, their own lawyers, their own system, their own television channel. And in 2023, according to the framework of the Supreme Court of America, they have been given the status of a registered religious organization. Now, a question arises here. What is the eventual goal of this organization? They have a particular goal. And that goal is that where a symbol of a religion is visible, introduce your sign there and confuse people. A statue of the 10 Commandments was erected in the state capital of Oklahoma. When a statue of the 10 Commandments was erected, then they insisted that the 9-foot statue of Baphomet should also be erected. Where the literature of Christianity was distributed in schools to children, there they introduced satanic coloring books to children. They stood on the grave of a Christian leader and celebrated a satanic gay wedding. Now some questions will come to your mind here. You must be thinking, who are these people? Do they really worship Satan? The answer to this question is not what you are thinking, and the answer you will get is extremely dangerous. What is the story? Let's understand. I will not give you any fatwa here. I am not your imam, but I will definitely tell you one thing. Whatever I have told you today is the ideology of Satanism. And its core is that self is God, logic is God. There is no accountability beyond this world, and this is exactly the same point by point that Iblis had promised Allah the Almighty that day. Iblis had said, I swear by the Lord of the universe, I will definitely misguide them, except for your sincere servants. And that promise is still alive today. The Satanic Temple is the execution of that promise. Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible is the execution of that promise. And in Grammy performances, devil imagery is also the execution of that promise. But you have to note one thing here. There is also an exception among all this. And that exception is, except for sincere people, those who are genuine, sincere, always align themselves with the will of Allah the Almighty, they will never fall into its trap. And this is not a weakness. This is the greatest strength. And this strength is still with you today. In 1966, a man appears in San Francisco, USA. And this man's name is Anton LaVey. Anton LaVey is a man who works in a circus, who is a lion tamer. His job is to improve the lion. He is also a musician. At the same time, he is also a photographer. And he starts the Church of Satan. When he establishes this church, he also writes a book there, and the name of this book is the Satanic Bible. The first statement of this book, he is very keen. He writes in this statement that Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. That is against restraint, against self-restraint. That is against everything that Islam teaches. Now the thing to understand here is, what does our religion tell us? Stop, think, fight for yourself. But what does this ideology say? It says that suppressing yourself, it is injustice to yourself. It is cruelty to yourself. And then from 1982, the decade of 1990 comes, and you see that in Norway, in Scandinavia, a music movement of black metal comes. Here, Satanism is not just a philosophy, it is much more than that. More than 50 churches are burned in Norway, and this is documented. It is present in the archives of the newspaper. And some band members were also convicted of murder. This was not a shock value. This was the beginning of theistic Satanism. That is, the form which actually worships Satan, like a real being. But all this remained underground. And then in 2013, the story changes once again. Now I tell you something. which the mainstream media will never tell you that Satanism has reached you and your children. Let's take one example. The Grammy Awards are held in 2023. Sam Smith, a globally famous artist, performs. And he gives a live performance, and the name of his performance is Unholy. In the performance, in which literally devil themed images are present, he is wearing red horns. And more than 20 million people see this performance on prime time. And it is broadcast globally. After this, you see Beyonce, then you see Rihanna, and then you see Lil Nas X. And I'm taking names because what I'm saying, it is documented, it is publicly available. But the media does not represent it because the media's bread and butter runs with it. Lil Nas X released a shoe. The name of those shoes was Satan Shoes, and 666 pairs were launched. 666 pairs were launched, which was blood mixed in the sole. And you know what's interesting? Within minutes, all these shoes were sold. This is normalization, step by step, little by little, until you feel uncomfortable. And then you remember that Allah Almighty had said that true voice can mislead them. So mislead them. Then another program comes in front of you. The Satanic Temple After School Satan Club program launched. In 7 American states, this program is currently running. And their argument, which is a very legally sound argument, they say that if Christianity Club can be allowed in schools, then we can be allowed. Because the Supreme Court has also given us permission. And then what do you see? Allah Almighty had said, if Satan wants to mislead, then join the children. Now through schools, through libraries, through education, they want to reach your children. And the next generation, now here you must be thinking, why am I listening to all this? I am not a Satanist. I do not worship Satan. So what do I have to do with these things? This Satanism, it does not say that you have to worship Satan. It says that you have to worship yourself, my will, my desire, my strength, my body. Now, here, if you want to know how does Satanism engage in your life, then you have to ask yourself some questions. Have you ever heard someone say, until someone is not in pain, you should do it. Whatever the heart does, you should do it. Do you believe in it? The second question you have to ask yourself, have you ever thought that my body, my will, what are the rules of Islam or religion? Is it really your body? Is it your will? Or your body is not in your control? And if your body, you do not even have the right, then who has the right on your body? And the third question, which you have to ask yourself, that in your house, that is in your children, or in yourself, do they believe that religion is a personal item? That Muslims are all, but there are boundaries, halal and haram. And everyone has their own personal issue. But these 3 questions are related to the 7 tenets of the Satanic Temple. Not word for word, but value for value. And they will tell you exactly that if you are confused about these 3 questions, then know this, that Satanism somehow has reached your house, whether it is through Netflix, through Spotify, through Western university education, through social media influences, it has reached you. No one will come to your house and give you a pamphlet, but your ideology will be normalized and will reach you. Today in Pakistan, there are more than 2 million subscribers to Netflix. Spotify, with 10 million active users in Pakistan, brings its content to you. And when you watch their content, you get surprised that a show comes called Lucifer. In that show, Satan is presented as a charming, funny, relatable hero. There are 6 seasons. It is a global phenomenon and is also seen in Pakistan. Then you see Sabrina, the teenage witch, literally a girl, who joins a satanic school, and it is presented in the name of empowerment. Then another show comes called Wednesday, and the same satanic academy aesthetic is shown, and all this content trends in your country. In 2013, the Satanic Temple, and it is completely different from the church of Anton LaVey. These people are more dangerous than the followers of Anton LaVey. And I tell you the reason that the people of Anton LaVey were openly very weird. They wore black clothes. They wore skulls. Mainstream society always rejected them. But the Satanic Temple is mainstream because their leaders wear suits, go to the courts, fight legal battles. They have 7 tenets. When you listen, you will feel that you are listening to something about Islam and religion until you pay attention to it. If I talk about their 7 tenets, the first tenet is that a person should work with compassion and empathy. How reasonable it seems to hear. The second tenet is that the body is inviolable only according to one's own will. This seems to be a matter of personal freedom. And then the third thing is that follows science, and in listening, today's man seems to be very rational. But one thing you have noted, that in these 7 tenets, there is no mention of God. There is no mention of Allah. There is no mention of God. Accountability, there is no mention of it. I, my desire, my will, my body. These are the total reasons. And this is the first sin of Satan. In our country, a movement was going on in the past 2 days whose slogan was, my body, my will. Now you have to understand this very carefully. All the intellectuals of this country in this movement, do you know where was everyone's attention? From this sentence, attention was on the body. That my body is my will. But do you know what mattered here? Will mattered. Because it's not just a will. When you are a slave, son of a slave, then you do not have a will. And this thing is very important. Because this is what the devil does. His first sin was that I am better than this. Arrogance, self before creator. And this is the beginning of Satanism. Today, Satanism is present everywhere. And Satanism does not mean that you will bow your head in front of the devil. This means that you will start believing in your own self and will start revolving around your own self. And you will bow your head in front of him. Today, people worship their ego. Today, in the name of shopping, today in the name of validation, today in the name of self-praise, this is the business everywhere, where your own will has increased so much that we have gone far from my body, my will.